Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India and Angola formalized cooperation in different sectors after President Droupadi Murmu holds delegation-level talks with President Lawrence in Luanda. Angola decides to join the International Big Cat Alliance and the Global Biofuels Alliance. Prime Minister Narendra Modi terms Uttarakhand the heartbeat of India's spiritual life as the hilly state marks the silver jubilee of its formation. More than 1 million people evacuated in the Philippines as typhoon Fung Wong expected to make landfall on the east coast. And skies over mighty Brahmaputra river in Guwahati comes alive with a spectacular air show as part of the Indian Air Force's 93rd anniversary celebrations. President Droupadi Murmu and her Angolan counterpart, João Lourenço, held delegation-level talks on Sunday. India and Angola are celebrating 40th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relations this year. President Murmu's visit to Angola is aimed at strengthening bilateral relations between the two countries.
भारत का अफ्रीका के साथ एक विशिष्ट और ऐतिहासिक संबंध है। हम इंडिया अफ्रीका फोरम समिट के ढांचे के अंतर्गत सभी अफ्रीकी देशों, विशेषकर अंगोला के साथ साझेदारी के प्रति प्रतिबद्ध हैं। हम आगामी IAFS समिट के आयोजन की प्रक्रिया में हैं और उसमें अंगोला की सहभागिता की आशा करते हैं।
The two countries signed MOUs in the fields of fisheries and marine sector. They also agreed to extend the air service agreement. President Droupadi Murmu and her Angolan counterpart, João Lourenço, made the joint press statement thereafter. President Murmu said that the talks with her Angolan counterpart explored the areas of cooperation between India and Angola and to further strengthen the ties.
भारत और अंगोला की साझेदारी आपसी विश्वास, परस्पर सम्मान और हमारे लोगों के समृद्धि भविष्य की साझा दृष्टि पर आधारित है। हम द्विपक्षीय साझेदारी को बढ़ाने और क्षेत्रीय व वैश्विक मामले में विचारों के आदान प्रदान के लिए निकट सहयोग कर रहे हैं। हमने नए क्षेत्रों में व्यापार और निवेश संबंधों को और विविध बनाने पर सहमति व्यक्त की, जिसमें टेक्नोलॉजी, कृषि, स्वास्थ्य, रक्षा, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और पीपल टू पीपल टाइज शामिल है।
Earlier, President Droupadi Murmu was given a ceremonial welcome and guard of honor in capital city of Luanda on Sunday. It's the first ever visit to Angola by an Indian head of state. India and Angola enjoy close ties of friendship and cooperation which have been growing across sectors over the years. The state visit of President Murmu provides an opportunity to review the entire gamut of bilateral ties and provide further momentum to mutually beneficial cooperation. President Murmu is scheduled to address the Angolan Parliament and will be interacting with the Indian community in Angola. On to India's north now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi participated in an event marking the 25th anniversary of the state of Uttarakhand's formation on Sunday. Prime Minister inaugurated and laid the foundation stone for development projects across Uttarakhand. These initiatives include drinking water, irrigation, technical education, energy, urban development, sports and skill development, sectors critical to the state's growth and infrastructure strengthening. In a major boost to the agricultural community, Prime Minister Modi released $620 million $620 million rupees directly into the bank accounts of over 28,000 farmers as part of the PM Fasal Bima Yojana, offering enhanced financial protection against crop losses. To mark the Silver Jubilee celebrations, Prime Minister Modi also launched a commemorative postal stamp honouring Uttarakhand's progress and the spirit of its people. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also received an overwhelming reception during a vibrant roadshow in Uttarakhand. Thousands of people lined up in the streets to greet Prime Minister Modi. Addressing the event, Prime Minister Modi said that Uttarakhand is the heartbeat of India's spiritual life and it has the potential to become the spiritual capital of the world.
उत्तराखंड ने 25 वर्षों में विकास की एक लंबी यात्रा तय की है। अब सवाल ये है कि अगले 25 वर्षों में हम उत्तराखंड को किस ऊंचाई पर देखना चाहेंगे। आपने वो कहावत जरूर सुनी होगी, जहां चाह वहां राह। इसलिए जब हमें ये पता होगा हमारा लक्ष्य क्या है, तो वहां पहुंचने का रोड मैप भी उतनी ही तेजी से बनेगा। साथियों, उत्तराखंड का असली परिचय उसकी आध्यात्मिक शक्ति है। उत्तराखंड अगर ठान ले तो अगले कुछ ही वर्षों में खुद को स्पिरिचुअल कैपिटल ऑफ द वर्ल्ड के रूप में स्थापित कर सकता है।
Campaigning concluded for the second phase of assembly elections in the eastern Indian state of Bihar. A total of 122 constituencies across 20 districts will go to polls in the second phase of Bihar assembly elections. The first phase of the Bihar Legislative Assembly elections was held on November 6th for 121 constituencies with the highest ever voter turnout of 64.66% in history. The counting of votes will take place on November the 14th. Moving further eastwards in India, Guwahati, the capital of Assam, on Sunday witnessed its first ever air show over Brahmaputra as thousands of spectators gathered at the Lachit Ghat to witness the event. The air show was organized by the Eastern Air Command of the Indian Air Force as part of its 93rd anniversary celebrations. The skies above the Brahmaputra came alive with aircraft such as Rafale, Su-30, Mark 1, Mirage, Tejas, Apache helicopters executing several rounds of aerial formations, enthralling the massive crowd.
light combat helicopter.
Good afternoon, Sarang Helicopter Display Team. आज सारंग एक के सह पायलट हैं स्क्वाड्रन लीडर राहुल। Lieutenant Colonel Varun. The degree of difficulty.
In the United States, however, major airlines braced for a third day of government-mandated flight cuts after rising air traffic control staffing shortages snarled thousands of flights on Saturday and Sunday. The Federal Aviation Administration instructed airlines to cut 4% of daily flights starting on Friday at 40 major airports because of air traffic control safety concerns. The shutdown, which has reached a record 40 days, has led to shortages of air traffic controllers who, like other federal government employees, have not been paid for weeks. Reductions in flights are mandated to reach to 6% on Tuesday and then hit 10% by November 14th. The FAA said on Saturday that there were air traffic control staffing shortages impacting 42 airport towers and other centers and delaying flights in at least 12 major U.S. cities, including Atlanta, Newark, San Francisco, Chicago and New York. Some 1,550 flights were cancelled and 6,700 flights delayed on Saturday compared to Friday, when 1,025 flights were cancelled and 7,000 delayed. Back to Asia. After Typhoon Kalmegie's aftermath in central Philippines, now Typhoon Fong, which is locally known as Uwan, is forecasted to make landfall in Aurora province in the Philippines early Sunday night. Strong winds and heavy rains are battering the eastern Philippines as Super Typhoon Fong moves closer to Luzon. More than 1 million people have been evacuated on Sunday before Typhoon Fong's expected landfall on the east coast. Super Typhoon Fong approached the Philippines just days after the country was battered by Typhoon Kalmegie, which killed 204 people and left a trail of destruction before slamming into Vietnam. The storm alert signals have also been sent across large parts of the Philippines with signal number 5, while Metro Manila and surrounding areas are under signal number 3. Typhoon Kalmegie left a trail of destruction across Vietnam's Dak Lak province. 6 people have been reported dead or injured and over 1,100 houses damaged or collapsed. The typhoon made landfall in central Vietnam late on Thursday, uprooting trees, damaging homes and triggering power outages before weakening as it moved inland. More than 54,000 aquaculture cages and several fishing boats were destroyed by strong winds and waves. Local authorities have deployed rescue forces to assist recovery and restore normalcy. Power supply remains disrupted. The province is now assessing total losses to provide aid to the affected residents.
We have reviewed and recorded the damages to promptly allocate funds from the provincial budget and government support to help affected residents. Military and police forces are also preparing plans to assist in the recovery and repair of hundreds of fishing boats washed ashore.
You're watching DD India Live, still to come on the show. A migrant vessel sinks off Malaysia-Thailand border. Hundreds are missing. Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara arrives in the United States for an official visit. And King Charles III leads Britain's annual ceremony of remembrance for the country's war dead.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Thank you for staying with us on DD India Live. I am Tanvi Taneja. On to the UK now. Thousands of military personnel, veterans and members of the public gathered in London on Sunday as King Charles III led Britain's annual ceremony of remembrance for the country's war dead. King Charles laid a wreath of red paper poppies on a black background at the base of the Cenotaph War Memorial near Parliament. Erected over a century ago to honour the British and the Allied troops killed in the First World War, It has become the focus of annual ceremonies for members of military and civilian services killed during that war and the subsequent conflicts. Tragic news coming in. Hundreds have gone missing on Sunday after a boat sank near the Thailand-Malaysia border as 10 survivors and 1 body were recovered. Malaysian Maritime Authority said more victims might still be found at sea some 3 days after the sinking of the vessel, which left Buthiduang, Myanmar, with about 300 people on board. Police said among the survivors found in the waters off Langkawi were 3 Myanmari men, 2 Rohingya men and 1 Bangladeshi man, while the body was that of a Rohingya woman. Members of the mainly Muslim Rohingya minority periodically flee majority Buddhist Myanmar, where they are seen as foreign interlopers from South Asia who are denied citizenship and face abuse. Syria's President Ahmad al-Shara arrived in Washington on Saturday for a historic official visit, the first by a Syrian leader since 1946. His arrival comes a day after the U.S. removed him from its terrorism blacklist. Shara, who led rebel forces to overthrow Bashar al-Assad last year, will meet President Donald Trump at the White House on Monday. The two leaders first met in Riyadh earlier this year during Trump's regional tour. U.S. officials expect discussions on Syria joining the U.S.-led coalition against the ISIS. Washington also plans to establish a base near Damascus to oversee humanitarian aid and regional developments. The State Department said delisting Shara acknowledges Syria's progress towards stability and political reforms. Members of Iraq's security forces cast their ballots on Sunday in a special voting process 2 days ahead of the election for the general public scheduled for Tuesday, November the 11th. Sunday's early vote allows members of the security forces, the internally displaced and prisoners to cast their vote. In polling stations in Baghdad and Mosul, security forces lined up to cast their votes through this year's electronic voting system meant to help prevent voter count manipulation. Iraq's general election will be its 6th parliamentary vote since the US-led invasion toppled Saddam Hussein in 2003. More news from West Asia. Israel Defense Forces announced on Saturday that Chief of General Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir met family of Lieutenant Hadar Goldin, who was killed in the 2014 Gaza conflict, pledging to recover his remains still held by Hamas. Zamir updated them on intelligence progress after reports of a Hamas-led search in Israeli-controlled Rafah tunnel was reported. The military reaffirmed commitment to repatriate Goldin and all fallen hostages under the October 10th attacks. Under the October 10th ceasefire. Hamas has returned 23 bodies and Goldin's remains are among the 4 still held. Amid all this, hundreds of Israelis gathered at the Hostages Square in the central part of the city to demand for the release of all the captives' bodies still held by Hamas in Gaza and for a state investigation on the 7th October 2023 attacks. Many survivors of captivity and torture in Gaza also participated in the regular weekly rally and called for the swift completion of the truce hostage deal that US President Donald Trump brokered between Israel and Hamas. Onto Oceania region now. Fire and Emergency New Zealand reported on Sunday that 8 helicopters and 3 planes are combating a wildfire burning 1,100 hectares in Tongariro National Park. Aerial reconnaissance will assess damage on Sunday with full containment expected after a day of operations. 6 fire trucks and 5 tankers support the ground efforts. 40 hikers were airlifted on Saturday, 9 more evacuated Sunday morning. Overnight operations have been paused for safety in the rugged terrain of this popular central North Island hiking area. The Global Peace Prayer Festival is being organized in Bhutan's capital, Thimphu. Thousands of Buddhist monks, devotees and peace seekers from around the world have gathered in a grand celebration of spirituality and compassion. India's Union Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment, Dr. Virendra Kumar, attended the event along with an Indian delegation joined by members of the royal family of Bhutan. Participants collectively offered prayers for global peace and well-being, reinforcing the timeless teachings of Lord Buddha and the shared commitment to foster friendship and harmony across borders. In a significant moment of spiritual and cultural exchange, the sacred relics of Lord Buddha have reached Bhutan for an 11-day public exposition as part of the Global Peace Prayer Festival. A delegation led by Social Justice and Empowerment Minister Dr. Virendra Kumar carried the relics on an Indian Air Force aircraft from New Delhi to Bhutan's Thimphu. The relics, enshrined at the National Museum in New Delhi, will be placed for public viewing at the Kyunray Hall of Tashisho Dzong, one of Bhutan's most revered monastic and administrative centers. The exposition, being held from November 8th to 18th, coincides with the 70th birth anniversary of Bhutan's fourth king, Jigme Singye Wangchuk. Bhutan's Prime Minister Shering Tobgay expressed gratitude to the Government of India and Prime Minister Narendra Modi for facilitating the visit, calling it a gesture of deep friendship and shared spiritual heritage. This marks the second visit of the sacred relics to Bhutan, the first being in 2011 during the royal wedding celebrations of King Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuk. Vice President C.P. Radhakrishnan is on a visit to Karnataka, his maiden visit to the state since assuming office. During his visit, the Vice President attended the commemoration of Jain monk Shantisagar Maharaj at Shravan Bela Gola. He unveiled the idol of the revered monk and lauded his role in reviving the Digambara Jain tradition. The Vice President also spoke about the central government's efforts to preserve ancient knowledge systems through initiatives like the Gyan Bharatam mission and the recognition of Prakrit as a classical language. Later, the Vice President offered prayers at the historic Cheluva Narayan Swami temple in Melukot, Karnataka. Vice President C.P. Radhakrishnan attended the 16th convocation ceremony of JSS Academy of Higher Education and Research at Mysore. In his address, the Vice President congratulated the graduating students, saying their degrees represent not just academic achievement, but also the values of discipline and resilience they developed during their time at the university. He also talked about handling success and failure in life.
Nothing should go into your mind so deep, whether it is success or failure. What it should be deep in your mind is how to do better every day. How I can make my tomorrow much better than what it is today. Like that we should move in our life, and I am sure the education in this great holy institution serves you very well. And my final request to you is, dear students and graduates, never forget your parents.
On to some sporting action now. Rohitash Chaudhary on Sunday set a new Guinness World Record with 847 one-legged push-ups in 1 hour, carrying a 27.875 kg backpack, surpassing Syria's previous record mark. The Haryana athlete, known as the push-up man of India, overcame a severe back injury that sidelined him for 2 years through rigorous 4-hour daily training. This feat follows his recent break of Pakistan's 534 rep record with 704 push-ups last month. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And for those on the go, you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates from India and the world. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.
launch a bombing campaign against Iran. The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you. You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD India.
Welcome to India's holiday capital.
Jharkhand will mesmerize